Story 1. By John Stone. The sun dipped below the horizon, casting long shadows across the dense forest surrounding whispering pines. The chilling breeze whistled through the trees as I sat around the campfire with my friends, Mark, Sarah, and John. We were avid hunters, always in search of thrilling experiences in the wilderness. Little did we know, this trip would become a terrifying chapter in our lives. "So, John, you were talking about that old legend earlier," I said, trying to lighten the mood. We all knew about the eerie stories surrounding this forest, but we didn't take them seriously. John leaned closer to the fire and took a sip of his coffee, a slight tremor in his voice. "They say, deep in these woods, there's a creature they call the Shadow Beast. It's said to be a vengeful spirit of a hunter who disappeared here decades ago." Sarah laughed nervously. "Come on, John, it's just a legend. Let's focus on the hunt." With our rifles in hand, we set off into the heart of whispering pines. The trees seemed to close in on us, their twisted branches casting eerie silhouettes. The moon barely pierced the thick canopy, leaving us to rely on our flashlights to navigate. Hours passed without any sign of prey. Frustration was starting to set in when we heard a low, guttural growl from the underbrush. We froze, our flashlights trembling. "Did you guys hear that?" I whispered. Mark nodded, his face pale. "Yeah, sounded like some big animal." Sarah gripped her rifle tightly. "Let's stay together. It could be a bear." The growl came again, closer this time, and it definitely wasn't a bear. It was more like a twisted, human-like growl that sent shivers down our spines. We exchanged nervous glances and decided to backtrack towards our camp. As we made our way through the forest, the growls persisted, seemingly following us. Panic started to set in, and we quickened our pace. Suddenly, a piercing, otherworldly scream erupted from the darkness. It was a sound like nothing I'd ever heard before, a chilling blend of agony and anger that seemed to vibrate in the very air around us. Without thinking, we broke into a run, trying to put as much distance between us and the terrifying sound as possible. The growls and screams echoed through the trees, closing in on us. It felt like the forest itself was alive and hunting us. Eventually, we stumbled back into our campsite, gasping for breath. We hastily packed our gear, not bothering to put out the campfire. Whatever was out there, we didn't want to spend another second in this godforsaken forest. We followed our path out of the forest, but the growls and screams persisted, seemingly always just out of reach. It was as if the forest was toying with us, driving us deeper into its dark heart. Hours turned into days as we stumbled through the woods, our food and water running low. Our flashlights had long since died, leaving us in near total darkness. The growls and screams had become an ever-present, maddening soundtrack to our nightmare. On the third night, as we huddled together for warmth and comfort, I noticed something that sent a shiver down my spine. The moon, which should have been rising in the east, was now high in the western sky. It was as if time itself had been twisted and distorted in this accursed forest. "We need to find our way out of here," Mark whispered, his voice strained with exhaustion. But no matter which direction we walked, the forest seemed to shift and change, leading us in endless circles. We were trapped, lost in a nightmarish maze of trees and shadows. As our supplies dwindled and our hope faded, we began to see things in the darkness. Glowing eyes, twisted figures, and grotesque shapes that defied explanation. The forest had become a living nightmare, a realm of pure terror. And then, on the fifth night, as we huddled together for warmth, we heard a voice. It was a whisper, soft and chilling, coming from all around us. "You should never have come here," it hissed. We spun around, our rifles pointed in all directions, but there was nothing to see. Just the darkness, and the relentless growls and screams. Days turned into weeks, or maybe months, it was impossible to tell. We were starving, delirious, and on the brink of madness. The forest had become our prison, our tormentor, and we were its helpless victims. And then, one night, as we lay in our makeshift camp, the growls and screams stopped. The forest fell eerily silent, and we knew that something was about to happen. Something terrible. Out of the darkness, a figure emerged. It was tall and shadowy, with glowing eyes that pierced our souls. It was the Shadow Beast, the vengeful spirit of the hunter who had disappeared in these woods long ago. With a voice that echoed through our minds, the Shadow Beast spoke. "You trespassed in my domain, and now you shall pay the price." As it drew closer, we raised our rifles, but it was futile. The creature was like smoke, slipping through our bullets, and it closed in with supernatural speed. In that final, horrifying moment, we realized the true horror of Whispering Pines. It wasn't just a forest, it was a living, malevolent entity, a realm of darkness and despair that fed on the fear of those foolish enough to enter. And then, the forest consumed us, and we became part of its twisted, eternal nightmare. So, my friend, if you ever hear of a place called Whispering Pines, heed my warning and stay far away. For in the heart of those woods, a terror beyond imagination waits to claim its next victims, and you could be its next prey. Story 2. By Dr. Vargas. Deep within the heart of the Amazon rainforest, where the foliage was so dense that the sun rarely penetrated the canopy, a group of adventurers had gathered to embark on an expedition like no other. Their mission was to find and capture evidence of the legendary creature known as the Emerald Serpent. The Emerald Serpent was said to be a massive, serpent-like creature with glistening green scales, a creature of myth and legend that had haunted the dreams of locals for centuries. It was rumored to be fiercely intelligent and exceedingly elusive, rarely seen by human eyes. Leading the expedition was Dr. Isabella Vargas, a brilliant herpetologist known for her work with reptiles and amphibians. She was driven by a scientific curiosity to prove the existence of the Emerald Serpent and uncover the mysteries of this enigmatic creature. Among her team was Alejandro, a rugged and fearless adventurer who had spent his life exploring the rainforest. He was the expedition's guide and tracker, possessing an uncanny ability to navigate the labyrinthine jungle. As the team delved deeper into the Amazon, the oppressive heat and the buzzing of insects intensified. Dr. Vargas was undeterred, her determination unwavering. She knew that scientific discovery often required patience and persistence. Days turned into weeks as they scoured the rainforest for any sign of the elusive creature. They encountered a myriad of exotic wildlife, from brilliantly colored birds to elusive jaguars, but the Emerald Serpent remained elusive. One evening, as they set up camp by a meandering river, Alejandro returned with a mysterious piece of news. "I found something," he said, his eyes filled with a mixture of excitement and trepidation. He led Dr. Vargas to a secluded spot, where they discovered a series of deep, snake-like tracks imprinted in the muddy riverbank. "This is it," Dr. Vargas exclaimed. "These tracks are unlike anything I've ever seen before. We're on the right track." The team pressed on, following the tracks deeper into the rainforest. The journey became increasingly perilous, with treacherous terrain and sudden downpours challenging their resolve. But they persevered, driven by the tantalizing prospect of a groundbreaking discovery. One fateful afternoon, as they ventured deeper into uncharted territory, they stumbled upon a breathtaking sight, a hidden lagoon surrounded by lush vegetation. At its center, partially submerged, lay the magnificent Emerald Serpent, its iridescent green scales glinting in the dappled sunlight. Dr. Vargas raised her camera, capturing the moment for posterity. She marveled at the serpent's beauty, a living relic from a time long past. It was a creature that defied the boundaries of scientific understanding, a testament to the mysteries that still lurked within the rainforest. As they observed the serpent from a respectful distance, it seemed to regard them with an intelligent curiosity, as if acknowledging their presence. In that moment, Dr. Vargas felt a profound connection to the creature, a shared understanding of the delicate balance of life in the jungle. They watched in awe as the Emerald Serpent glided gracefully into the depths of the lagoon, disappearing beneath the surface. It was a bittersweet moment, knowing that the creature would remain an elusive enigma to the world. The expedition returned to civilization, their mission a resounding success. Dr. Vargas shared her findings with the scientific community, sparking renewed interest in the mysteries of the Amazon rainforest. Alejandro continued to explore the jungle, forever haunted by the memory of the emerald serpent. In the end, the journey had been about more than scientific discovery. It had been a testament to the enduring spirit of exploration and the wonder of the natural world. The legend of the emerald serpent lived on, a reminder that there were still secrets waiting to be uncovered in the heart of the rainforest, waiting for the next intrepid adventurer to embark on their own extraordinary quest. Story 3. By Incognito Hunter. The crisp morning air cut through the forest as I set out on my solitary hunting expedition. My rifle was slung over my shoulder, and my footsteps were careful not to disturb the tranquility of the wilderness. This was a different kind of hunting, far removed from the typical tales of chasing elusive prey. I was on a mission to capture something unique, a photograph of a legendary and elusive creature known as the ghost buck. The ghost buck had been the stuff of local legends for generations. A massive white-tailed deer, it was said to be the most majestic and elusive animal in these woods. Its coat was said to be pure white, blending seamlessly with the snowy landscape of winter, and it possessed a cunning intelligence that had allowed it to elude hunters for years. For me, this expedition was not about trophies or bragging rights. It was about redemption. I had once been a reckless and ruthless trophy hunter, driven by the thrill of the kill and the size of my collection. However, a near-fatal encounter with a wounded animal had changed me profoundly. I had vowed to put down my gun and take up a camera instead, seeking to capture the beauty of wildlife without causing harm. As I ventured deeper into the forest, I felt a sense of peace I had never experienced while hunting. The serenity of the woods was mesmerizing, and the connection to nature was unlike anything I had ever known. My camera, equipped with a long-range lens, hung around my neck, ready to capture the elusive ghost buck if I were lucky enough to encounter it. Hours turned into days as I tracked the deer's rumored whereabouts, patiently waiting for the perfect shot. I observed the forest's denizens in their natural habitat, squirrels scampering through the trees, birds taking flight, and rabbits darting through the underbrush. Each sighting was a testament to the delicate balance of life in the wilderness. One evening, just as the sun dipped below the horizon, I caught a glimpse of movement in the distance. My heart raced as I raised my camera. There it was, the ghost buck, standing majestically among the trees, its pure white coat a stark contrast to the darkening forest. I held my breath, focusing the camera and capturing the moment. The ghost buck turned its head, its eyes meeting mine for a brief, magical second before it melted into the shadows, leaving only the memory of its beauty captured in my lens. With trembling hands, I reviewed the photograph on my camera's display, and I knew I had achieved something far more valuable than any trophy. I had captured the essence of the wilderness, the spirit of the forest, and the elusive beauty of the ghost buck. As I made my way back to civilization, I reflected on my journey. I had found redemption in the heart of the wilderness, trading my destructive hunting habits for a deeper connection to nature. The ghost buck had led me to a path of transformation, reminding me that there was more to hunting than the thrill of the kill. My photograph of the legendary creature became famous, not for the size of the trophy, but for the story of redemption behind it. I used my newfound platform to advocate for conservation and the protection of wildlife, inspiring others to appreciate the beauty of nature without causing harm. In the end, the ghost buck had not only eluded capture but had also led me to a greater purpose, a life dedicated to the preservation of the wild and a deeper understanding of the world around me. It was a different kind of hunting, one that sought to capture the essence of life itself, and in that pursuit, I had found my redemption.